There's a number that separates people who stay broke their entire lives from people who eventually build real wealth. It's not $1 million. It's not even 100,000. It's 20,000. $20,000 in savings or investments. That's the invisible line that changes everything. Your psychology, your options, your entire relationship with money. And here's the part nobody tells you. Getting to 20,000 feels impossible, like pushing a boulder uphill alone. Every step forward feels like it takes all your strength. But once you cross that line, something shifts. The boulder starts rolling on its own. Money starts working for you instead of you working for money. And the next 20,000 comes faster, and the one after that comes even faster. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens, what changes when you hit 20,000, and how to get there even if you're starting from zero. If you're serious about building wealth instead of just dreaming about it, hit subscribe right now because this might be the most important 20 minutes you watch this year. Let's get into it. Let me start with a story about two people, both 25 years old, both making $55,000 a year. Same city, same rent, same student loans. The only difference is that one of them has $19,000 in savings and the other has $21,000. On paper, they're basically identical, but psychologically, they're living in completely different worlds. The person with $19,000 wakes up every morning with a knot in their stomach. They check their bank account obsessively. Every expense feels stressful. Car needs new tires, panic, unexpected medical bill, crisis. Friend's wedding out of state? Can I even afford to go? Their brain is stuck in survival mode. Every decision is about avoiding disaster, not building wealth. The person with $21,000, they wake up calm. The same car repair that causes panic for the first person, just an annoying inconvenience. Medical bill? They pay it and move on. Friend's wedding? They book the flight without stress. Their brain shifted from survival to growth. They're not worried about emergencies anymore. They're thinking about investments, about building wealth, about the future. And here's what's fascinating. The actual difference in their bank accounts is $2,000, but the psychological difference is massive because $20,000 is the threshold. It's the emergency fund that's big enough to actually protect you. It's 3 to 6 months of expenses for most people. And once you have it, your brain stops operating in fear mode and starts operating in opportunity mode. Research backs this up. According to Vanguard, having just $2,000 in emergency savings increases your financial well-being by 21%, but having 3 to 6 months of expenses, roughly $20,000 for most people, adds another 13% boost. That's a 34% increase in financial well-being just from reaching this one milestone. This isn't about being rich. It's about crossing the line from financially fragile to financially stable, and that line is $20,000. Now let me explain the mathematics of why the first $20,000 is so hard and why everything gets easier after. If you're saving $1,000 per month and investing it at an average return of 8%, which is conservative for long-term stock market investing, here's what happens. Your first $20,000 takes 19 months, a year and a half of grinding, sacrificing, saying no to things you want. It feels endless. But your second $20,000, 17 months, 2 months faster. Not because you're saving more, because compound interest is starting to kick in. Your third $20,000, even faster, 15 months. By the time you reach $400,000, each additional $20,000 takes only about 5 months. The same $20,000 that took you 19 months at the beginning now takes 5. Why? Because at $400,000, an 8% return generates $32,000 per year. You're making $20,000 in gains every 7.5 months just from your investments existing. You're not working for that money. Your money is working for you. This is compound interest. And it's the most powerful wealth-building force in the world, but it only works if you have enough capital to compound. $20,000 is where it starts to matter. Before $20,000, your returns feel like nothing. 8% on $5,000 is $400 a year. That's nice, but it doesn't change your life. 8% on $20,000 is $1,600 a year. That's meaningful. 8% on $100,000 is $8,000 a year. That's almost a part-time salary from doing nothing. The journey from 0 to 20,000 is pure discipline. No shortcuts, no hacks, just consistent saving and delayed gratification. But after 20,000, mathematics becomes your friend. Your money starts multiplying faster than you can spend it if you stay disciplined. Here's where things get psychological. Saving $20,000 requires you to fundamentally change how your brain works. You have to resist impulse purchases for months, skip expensive dinners, say no to trips, drive an old car when you could afford a newer one, watch friends upgrade their apartments while you stay in yours, turn down social events because you're saving. It's uncomfortable, it's boring, it feels like you're missing out on life. But here's what actually happens during those 19 months. You're rewiring your brain. You're proving to yourself that you can control money instead of letting it control you. You're building a muscle that most people never develop, the discipline to delay gratification. And once you prove you can save $20,000, your relationship with money changes permanently. You stop thinking in terms of monthly budgets and start thinking in terms of net worth. You stop sweating small expenses and start focusing on the big ones. A $4 coffee? Who cares? That's not what's killing your wealth. Housing, transportation, and lifestyle inflation? That's where the real money goes. And once you have $20,000 in the bank, you have the mental space to actually think about these big decisions strategically. Before $20,000, you're in survival mode. You're worried about making it to next paycheck. You're stressed about overdraft fees. You're playing defense. After $20,000, you switch to offense. You're thinking about how to increase your income, how to invest smarter, how to optimize your career, how to build real wealth. The money itself gives you breathing room, but more importantly, the process of saving it changes who you are as a person. Let me tell you about the career shift that happens at $20,000. This is subtle, but incredibly powerful. $20,000 is what I call walking away money. It's enough to quit a toxic job without having another one lined up. It's enough to take a risk on a better opportunity. It's enough to negotiate aggressively because you're not desperate. And here's the fascinating part. You don't even have to use it for any of those things. Just having it changes how you show up at work. When you know you could walk away if you had to, you stop acting desperate. You stop accepting disrespect. You stop tolerating bad management. You speak up in meetings. You ask for raises. You set boundaries. And ironically, this confidence makes you more valuable. Your boss notices. Your colleagues notice. You get better projects, better assignments, better opportunities, and your income starts growing faster. People who have financial cushions earn more than people who don't, even when they started at the same salary. Not because they're smarter, because they can take risks, they can negotiate, they can leave bad situations. Meanwhile, someone living paycheck to paycheck is trapped. They can't negotiate because they're terrified of losing their job. They can't leave a toxic workplace because they have no savings. They can't take a risk on a better opportunity because they need that steady paycheck. $20,000 breaks that trap. It gives you options, and options are what separate people who build wealth from people who stay stuck. Now let me show you where most people blow it. They finally hit $20,000. They feel accomplished. They feel successful. And then they immediately spend it on something stupid, a new car, a luxury vacation, a bigger apartment, an expensive wedding. And just like that, they're back to zero, back to survival mode, back to paycheck, and they wonder why wealth feels impossible. Here's the brutal truth. $20,000 is not spending money. It's seed money. It's the foundation everything else builds on. Spending it is like a farmer eating his seeds instead of planting them. Sure, you get a meal, but you just destroyed next year's harvest. Let me break down the opportunity cost. $20,000 spent on a new car? Gone. Depreciates immediately. Costs you money in payments, insurance, and maintenance? $20,000 invested at 8% for 30 years? $300,000. You just traded $300,000 in future wealth for a car that'll be worth $5,000 in 10 years. Was it worth it? For most people, the answer is obviously no. But they don't think about it this way in the moment. They think, I've been saving for 2 years. I deserve something nice. I've earned it. But what you've actually earned is the right to stop being broke for the rest of your life. And you're about to throw that away for temporary gratification. The wealthiest people understand this instinctively. They don't spend their seed money. They let it compound. They live below their means. They delay gratification. They look boring to everyone around them. But 20 years later, they're financially free while everyone else is still working jobs they hate to pay for cars they don't need. Let me give you the exact roadmap to get to $20,000 starting from zero. No fluff, no motivational nonsense, just the practical steps. Step 1. Calculate your target. For most people, $20,000 covers 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. If your expenses are lower, maybe you need $15,000. If they're higher, maybe you need $25,000. Figure out your number. Step 2. Automate 15% of every paycheck into a high-yield savings account. Not a regular savings account earning 0.01%, a high-yield account earning 4 to 5%. That difference matters. On $20,000, it's $800 per year versus $2. Step 3. Live on the remaining 85%. Do not touch the 15%. It doesn't exist. It's gone before you see it. This removes willpower from the equation. You can't spend money you never have access to. Step 4. Use the 65-20 rule for the remaining money. 65% for essentials, rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance. 20% for guilt-free spending, restaurants, entertainment, hobbies, whatever you want. This prevents burnout. You need to enjoy life or you'll quit. Step 5. Every raise, bonus, tax refund, or unexpected money, 50% goes to savings. The other 50% you can spend. This prevents lifestyle inflation from eating every income increase. Step 6. Track your progress monthly. Watch the number grow. Celebrate milestones. 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Each milestone is psychological fuel to keep going. Step 7. Once you hit 20,000, do not touch it unless it's a genuine emergency. Job loss, medical crisis, major car repair that prevents you from working. Not a vacation, not a wedding, not a new gadget. If you follow this system for 19 months, you'll have 20,000, and your entire financial life changes. Guaranteed. Here's what actually happens in your life once you cross 20,000. First, emergencies become inconveniences. Car breaks down? Annoying but not devastating. Medical bill? You pay it without panic. Lose your job? You have 3 to 6 months to find a better one without desperation. Second, you stop making financial decisions based on fear. You're no longer trapped by bad situations because you can't afford to leave. Third, small expenses stop stressing you out. You stop checking your bank account every day. You stop worrying about whether you can afford coffee or a meal out, not because you spend recklessly, but because you have a cushion. Fourth, you start thinking about wealth building instead of survival. You research investment accounts, you learn about index funds, you think about retirement for the first time, you plan instead of react. Fifth, you sleep better. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of insomnia and anxiety. 20,000 in the bank removes most of that stress. Sixth, your relationships improve. Money stress destroys marriages and friendships. When you're not constantly stressed about money, you show up better in your relationships. And finally, you start seeing a path to real wealth. The journey from 20,000 to 100,000 feels achievable. From 100,000 to 300,000 feels possible. From 300,000 to 1,000,000 feels inevitable. Because you've proven you can do it. You saved the first 20,000, which was the hardest part. Everything else is just patience and consistency. Let me give you one final piece of perspective that might change everything. The average American will earn about $2.7 million over their working lifetime. 2.7 million, yet most retire with less than 100,000 in savings. Some retire with nothing. Where did the other 2.6 million go? It evaporated. New cars, bigger apartments, expensive vacations, lifestyle inflation, impulse purchases, keeping up with friends, trying to look successful instead of being successful. Meanwhile, someone who saves just 15% of that 2.7 million has over 400,000 at retirement, not counting compound interest. With compound interest at 8%, they have over 2 million. Same lifetime earnings, completely different outcome. The difference? Discipline, systems, and hitting that first 20,000 milestone early. Because once you prove you can save 20,000, you prove you can save anything. You've developed the habit, the discipline, the mindset. You've crossed the invisible line that separates people who talk about wealth from people who build it. 20,000 is not the goal, it's the beginning. But it's the beginning that most people never reach, because they think they need to earn more first. They think they'll start saving when they get a raise. They think 20,000 is too much to save right now. But here's the truth. If you can't save when you're making 50,000, you won't save when you're making 70,000. If you can't save when you're making 70,000, you won't save when you're making 100,000. The number changes. The habits don't. Start now. Start small if you have to, but start. Automate 15%. Live on 85. Ignore the noise. And in 19 months, your entire financial life will be different. Not because you got lucky, not because you earned more, But because you crossed the threshold that changes everything, $20,000, the line between financially fragile and financially stable, between survival mode and growth mode, between hoping things work out and knowing they will. If this video changed how you think about saving and wealth building, hit subscribe right now because we're building a community of people who actually take action instead of just consuming content. Drop a comment and tell me, how much do you currently have saved and what's your plan to hit 20,000? No judgment, just honest progress. And if you found this valuable, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the difference between being broke and building wealth isn't complicated. It's just discipline and time. And it starts with $20,000. See you in the next one.